Okay, here we go then. The last race of the day, it's all to play for. Race 2, it all comes down to the next 14 laps. And away they go. Now, and there's Darren spinning out as well. Darren, there's contact there, push Kieran wide. Oh, but he's gone off. What's going on? Shane's also there in the BMW. Oh, nearly loses it. Kieran's going to have to slow down. No, he's gone too much. It's Josh here, and he is leading. This is fantastic for Josh. Oh, a bit of a luck tap. And Josh, oh my God, who's going to take it? I think it's Darren. I think it's going to be Rob. Rob gets it. He's actually on the grass. This isn't good for Tom. And he's made the move. Look at that. Through Eau Rouge. Oh, that's Mike. Mike's gone off. Oh, Craig sideways. Big time. Is it going to be enough? No, Sam takes it and takes the title ahead of Tom. Hello and welcome to the FeckWrest Online Touring Car Championship. My name is Tom and I'll be your commentator as always. You're currently looking at Craig Kellett, the current leader in the championship itself, and we are here for round 4 at Dragon Trail in Croatia. So let's take a little look at the track itself and the entry list for the race. It's a 3.2 mile circuit here at Dragon Trail, located at a seaside town in Croatia. Known for its fast turns, wide overtaking opportunities, and of course the bus chicane, which is notoriously difficult. Let's take a little look at the entry list then. The teams are returning in the form of Sam Parker and Rob Pellet for Elliott Racing, but biggest omission is Kieran for K-Tech Racing, who won't be available to race here. Of course, we have our independents, Josh, Mark, Mike, Harry returning. Stephen is here for his second event. Mark and Gary here as well. And we have the newcomer in the form of Joe, who will be racing a brand new Mazda Atenza in the independents. Let's take a little look at the current standings, which we came away from Laguna Seca, and to see where we're going from here for the first race. So in the driver's title, Craig is in the lead with 152, Darren is second with 130, Mike and Mark are joint third and fourth with 106, with Tom not too far behind in fifth with 99. Kieran is on 89, but of course won't be scoring today, so he'll be dropping down the table at the end. Josh is on 86 in 7th. Sam returning is in 8th with 71. Harry also returning in 9th with 61. Rob on 46 and 10th. Gary in 11th with 36. James on 27. Stephen got off the scoring board with 21 in 13th. And then Joe will be scoring some points hopefully today to join them. In the teams then, Elliott Racing are currently leading, but only by 2 points. Parker on 230, and of course K-Tech caught up with 229 back at Laguna, because both Parker and Elliott only fielded one car at that particular event, and that itself is chopping and changing all the time, so that's one to keep an eye on from here onwards. In the independents, Mark is leading with 148, Mike is on 139, Josh is on 117, Harry with 95, Gary's on 57 in 5th, James on 34 still, and Stephen is on 21, and obviously Joe will be scoring some points today. Obviously looking at James, who has missed the second race on the trot, so James is going to be dropping down in the table as well. Unsurprisingly, Craig gets pole position after qualifying, so let's take a look and see what happens in race 1. Here's our grid for race 1 then here at Dragon Trail. Craig Kellett, another pole position on the front row of the grid in the Nissan GTR for Elliott Racing. Darren Parker in the Team Parker Racing Renault Megane. Next to him, row 2 is Sam Parker in the other Team Parker Racing Renault Megane. And of course Tom Foster in the K-Tech Racing Subaru WRX. Row 3 sees Stephen Heath in the Subaru WRX and Harry Cook in the Nissan GTR. Row 4 we see Rob Pellet in the Nissan GTR for Elliott Racing. with Mike Kuipers in the other Nissan GTR next to him. Row 5 is Gary Black in his Lexus RCF. Next to him is Joe Burrows in his Mazda Atenza, and at the back row of the grid is Mark Nichol in the Renault Megane and Josh Hardy also in another Renault Megane. Here we go then. We're here for another round of the FeckWrest touring cars. We are here at Croatia at Dragon Trail with Craig on the front row of the grid, and away they go. And that's a poor start for Darren there, but a good start for Harry Cook and Tom in the Subaru, and next to him with Stephen also in the Subaru. And as they come to the first chicane here, it's quite notorious for a bit of contact, but at the moment it's all looking fairly clean. On board with Mike, just behind Sam here in 6th and 7th. The two Renaults returning together as a team here after missing out in Laguna. 13 laps around this circuit, so plenty of action to be watching. Oh, that's Rob who's going off in the background straight into the wall. And Rob goes down to the back of the grid in 12th after seeing Rob going off into the barrier there. We do wonder whether it was some contact or whether it was just on his own. We can have a little look at the replay and find out. So let's have a little look now. On board with Rob then, as we look to see whether there is any contact to push him wide into the gravel. No, the car's just unsettled on the curbs unfortunately, so Rob unfortunately dropping back down to the back of the grid. So Rob tried to make up for that contact there, and he's got ahead of Gary and Josh and up to 9th position. Here's Joe getting to grips with his Mazda, and currently feels as if the Mazda is a little bit underpowered, not quite on the pace yet, but it's a brand new car and the settings need to be really dialed up. So early days, and unfortunately that's Joe going off into the gravel there, but he will join just ahead of Mark. The front row of the grid then, here we've got Craig still leading with Harry here in 2nd, Stevens in 3rd, Tom is in 4th, and the two Renaults of Sam and Darren. Sam's got a little bit of work to do after missing out on the points at Laguna, so he's fallen down the table, but no doubt he'll make it up in the races to come. Down into a sharp right-hander, and the bus chicane is now arriving for the guys, and as you can see it's quick, and that's Stephen that's gone into the wall there. Very easy to hit the wall on the exit, and as you see one of the Renaults going into the wall as well. Rob's still ahead of Josh, and that's Gary in the wall. I think Gary must have hit the wall on the exit, so it's a shame for Gary. On board with Tom in this three-way fight for the last podium position, sorry, 2nd and 3rd, and Tom just goes ahead of Stephen. That's a good overtake, got them on the inside, and he's now got to see if he can get Harry, but saying that, Stephen is not letting Tom get away with it, and also Sam is on the back of Stephen here, and it could overtake him. A little bit of a push, it's not quite worked out. So this battle is hotting up here for the front of the pack. Whoa, a bit of a cut there on the old curves from Tom there. He's got to keep an eye on that, otherwise he will be looked at by the stewards. Harry now under threat from Tom and Stephen. So Tom's got ahead, Stephen's got ahead, and Sam is just behind, with Darren very close as well. So Harry trying to make up for the loss of that second position, and there's actually a bit of a gap now for Tom and Stephen. And this battle in itself is looking rather tasty. Two Subarus, very similar setups. And look at that, Sam in the background is looking to overtake Harry, and Harry's off in the gravel. So that's Harry who's lost another position, but luckily not actually too bad, because he's only just behind Sam and still ahead of Darren. But looking at things, we seem to have an issue with Craig. There's Craig, he's in 6th. So what's happened to Craig? Craig has gone from the lead, and we didn't see that, so we're too busy focused on Harry. So something's happened to Craig, and we can actually have a little look at the replay and find out what happened there with Craig. As you can see, he seems to just slow there, and it gets to a point, look, he's come to a near stop onto the gravel. Looked like he was about to retire, and he's got the car going again, and away he goes. Yeah, very weird. So Craig unfortunately had a technical issue. We had to restart his car, but definitely something wrong with that Nissan. Further down, this is Rob, who is having a fight with Mike. This isn't too bad for Rob in 7th, looking good. He looks strong in practice and looking to get a big points haul. Mike is on the hard tyres. Josh also on the hards. Now a battle is going on here for the pack between Joe in the Mazda, Gary and Mark. A little bit of contact. Good to see another Mark on the grid, and there were potential other people who may have gone with the Mazda early on for the season but decided to go against it. Let's hope it can get some good results. So, oh, Tom going wide here, so we're back up the front on board with Tom, and this race here for the lead of the race is really hotting up. It's a 5-way, so the two Renaults have managed to force their way through, and oh, Tom's hit the wall, so that's going to slow him down, and that's Craig who's going to go past then. So Tom gets out of the way of Craig. So it's currently Darren leading. He's just getting ahead of Harry here, so this is close stuff. And Sam could look at overtaking Harry here. Harry runs a little wide, becoming unsettled under the pressure from the two Renaults. Stephen Heath isn't too far behind, looking really strong And that's Harry gone wide sliding. Oh, there's contact there between Stephen and Sam. Sam's been hit, so that's Sam. That's unsettled him. He's trying to get that Renault straight again. Actually hitting the way he's hit the barrier. So that's going to need to be looked at as a three-way battle here for second. And that's Stephen's been pushed wide now. Craig is back involved in this again. Tom gets on the inside of Stephen. So Tom is back in to fourth now, with Craig back into third. Harry's still in seconds, and Darren has managed to get away from this pack after everyone having a real big tussle. We're going to have a little look at the incident between Sam and Harry for the stewards, and not sorry Harry, it was Stephen, sorry, and Stephen maybe potentially looking at a penalty there, or just a warning. So a good overtake there by Heathy on the outside. So Tom back down to fifth now. Further down, Sam and Rob are having a fight. The Elliott Racing and the Parker Racing race continues for the teams. Literally points in it each round. And they chop and change constantly. Whoa, bit of contact there. Rob and Sam. Sam back ahead of Rob now. And Mike isn't too far behind. Mike looking to catch back up with Mark in the independents here to see if he can overtake him. Mark at the moment is just behind Mike, so I think he's on the hards. There's Mike, and Mark is now fighting with Josh, so Mark has got ahead of Josh. Josh must have made a mistake somewhere down the line. So pretty much a battle for the top and a battle at the back. As I want to hear it, Gary and Joe having a tussle here. Alexis and the Mazda, the only two cars with just one fielded entry. So Darren is still leading. Again, a gap still there. Craig back up to second now, and the fight between Stephen, Harry and Tom continues, but just a bit further down. This is a good return for Harry, who is showing some real pace in that Nissan. Hopefully he can get his first podium, or even a win at some point. He's got the potential. Further back, Sam has put a gap between himself and Rob now. Mike still racing a little bit on his own, and this race between Mark and Josh now really a little bit tasty. That's both of them going a little bit wide there, and there's Gary in the background who could potentially catch up to these when they're fighting. Joe's dropped back a little bit further. Oh, that's contact there with Mark and the wall, and that, as we said, is going to happen at some point in this event. It's happened a couple of times already, and Mark's felt the force of that wall. You can see the damage on the front of that Red Bull Renault. So that's pushed him down to the back of the grid, which is a real shame, and it's going to hurt him in the results, the points potentially. But he continues on from there. So Harry now behind Tom. bumping over the curbs. That's low sunset, a great backdrop for this first race. So Stephen Heath now looking to see if he can catch up with Craig, and Stephen showed real pace, took a win on his debut event last time at Laguna, had some real technical issues and had 2 DNFs, so he's come away with some real confidence in the ability of the car, and did another great qualifying session, so he's got potential to take another win here and get some real good results, start putting the points in the bag and catching up with everyone, as unfortunately he missed the first 2 events. Tom has gapped Harry now, and Harry's actually dropped down, so something's happened with Harry. He's made a mistake, so that's allowed Rob to catch up with Harry. Can Rob get another position? Rob looking a lot more stable and settled in the Nissan. Just needs a little bit more mileage. He has unfortunately had to miss Laguna, which he said himself is one of his favourites. He felt he would have been strong, but just wasn't able to make it. So maybe next season. But for now, he's having a real good battle here. 2 Nissans. And Rob is putting the pressure on Harry. Further down, Mike having a race on his own. Josh is just ahead of Gary here. Mark's trying to catch up, and there's Joe just getting his first race under his belt, get the mileage in that Mazda and tweak it. So the race is now on between the top leaders. Look at that, incredibly, Craig and Stephen are both kept caught up with Darren big time, and now a fight for the lead of this race is on yet again between the 2 top leaders of Darren and Craig. This season has been all about these 2 so far. Very similar looking cars with their similar liveries, with the black, aqua and purple. Look how close Craig gets to Darren. He's right on him. The pressure is on for Darren to not make a mistake here, and Stephen doing that thing again where he's going to hold back and behind these 2 and potentially take the lead of the race, as he did at Laguna behind Mike and Darren. Very quick through the chicanes, all 3 of them. No mistakes there. Now Tom is having a battle here with Sam. Sam looking quick out of the chicane there. Sam making up for the unfortunate damage that was caused by the little bit of contact between him and Stephen earlier on. On to lap 12 then. The race has gone very quick here. 2 laps to go and the race is still on for the lead here. Oh, look at that. And that's Craig is now in the lead, and Stephen's gone into second, so Darren's down to third. And Darren will be gutted. Was leading and was leading well. Stephen taking a real close apex of that corner, and Stephen's car looks almost identical colour to the sun. It's a very hot pink today. Oh, that's Darren nearly losing it on those curbs. That's another dangerous area. So Sam's caught up with Darren now, so Tom is a little bit behind Sam, and Sam's actually going to overtake Darren in the foreground here. Look, and the two Renaults are side by side as they go towards the bus chicane. Who's going to take it? At the moment, it's looking like Sam. Sam's gone back ahead of Darren. And Darren is dropping place after place after being in the lead of this race only a few laps ago. It's been a great battle for the lead of this race. Craig has had technical issues, gone from first all the way down to sixth and back up again to take the lead of this race yet again. What a comeback. We're on to the final lap then. Craig is first, Stephen is second, Sam is third, but putting the pressure on Stephen now. Darren is fourth and Tom is in fifth. And as Sam has tried to make a move on Stephen. He's trying and trying. So just a quick look further down. Harry's having another battle here still with Rob. Rob has not managed to get past Harry yet. Mike is still on his own. Josh is now still fighting with Gary. Mark and Joe are much further behind, but we continue to watch the leaders of this race go through the bus chicane one last time. Well, that's a great move by Sam, and I think he's got a good exit. So on board with Stephen now, and there in the background in his mirror is Sam, and Sam is right on his tail. He's gone on the outside. Can he make the move stick? I think he's going to go wide. He does go wide, but has he got enough? It's going to be a run right down to the end. Craig Kellett is going to take the win in this race, but I think Sam's got it, and Darren could get it. Yes, he does. Darren gets ahead of Stephen. Tom takes fifth, just behind Stephen then. That was a fantastic finish, and now it's Harry to take sixth, just ahead of Rob. So well done to Harry just for staying ahead of Rob there. And Mike has pretty much been the lonely racer here. Hasn't sent anyone for ages. It's an eighth for Mike, but bagging the points on the hards. Gary's got ahead of Josh then, and Josh runs wide on the grass, so Gary's going to take ninth ahead of Josh. Mark is going to take 11th after hitting the wall in the chicane, unable to salvage too much there, and Joe is going to take 11th on his debut in the first run of the Mazda. So it's another win for Craig there, just ahead of Sam, and Darren just pips Stephen to the line. Tom takes 5th, Harry takes 6th, Rob takes 7th, Mike takes 8th, Gary takes 9th, Josh takes 10th, Mark is 11th, and Joe finishes the back in 12th position. So what this means then for the drivers' standings, Craig increases his lead to 172 points. Darren is 145. Mike is just ahead of Mark now by 3 points, 114 to 111. Tom is just a point behind Mark with 110. Kieran drops down below Josh, so Josh is on 92, Kieran is on 89. Sam just a point behind Kieran with 88. Harry is 9th with 71. Rob is on 55 in 10th. Gary is 11th with 43. Stephen jumps ahead of James now with 34. James stays on 27, and Joe gets off the mark with just 4 points in 14th, but will get more points, I imagine, from here. In the teams, it's still leading by just 3 points, 265 to 262 to Parker, and K-Tech dropped further down with 232 because Kieran obviously isn't here to score points as well. In the independents, Mark is leading by just 4 points now with 158. Mike is on 154. Josh is third, 128. Harry is fourth with 112. Gary is fifth with 70. Stephen jumps ahead of James also in the independents with a 41 to 34, and Joe gets 9 points.